one of the ways that these religious forces and other forces, fundamentalists, are showing is often around women's rights issues. They want women to stay back in the family, stay home, and not bother these forces that are emerging. So the struggle took on a different form. It wasn't just women meeting in Nairobi, Cairo, and so forth, but also be capacitated to respond to these other forces that were saying no. There are people, for example, who say, don't use the word gender because it means something else than just women. And this had to do with LGBT struggles. So in order to deny that right, they would rather that we spoke about women and not gender or gender equality, just talk about women's rights and simplify it to very, very few legal and other kind of rights instead of a broad arena of human rights for everybody and so forth. So that we can talk about Dawn, but in this period, there were these very reactionary forces that were coming about and uniting around some issues. And their unity sometimes has to do with women's rights, because women's rights, I think, raises issues of fundamental patriarchal institutional forces that make people really uncomfortable. So you see on this issue of gender, the Ayatollahs of Iran, the most reactionary forces in the US, Europe, and other places uniting over it by keeping away certain concepts. Even, it just became very clear that you can no longer go and talk about things that we thought we had already accomplished, because these other reactionary forces in this neoliberal fundamentalist kind of globe can raise and set you back. So one of the gains you get by being very active in organizations like Dawn is you can foresee this coming, that you don't innocently go to, for example, right now, Dawn people were represented in the Nairobi conference, which is a follow-up, 25 years of ICPD. They would not be surprised about some of the reactionary voices and trends that are tabled over there, because they have seen this accumulated over the years and have been crafting responses towards those kind of reactionary forces that want to limit our issues to a set of really elementary minimalist type of rights rather than the ones that we want as a transformatory possibility.
There is a process of emboldenment that I think, emboldenment. People become more bold. And I think, and in the Pacific region, this comes through sports players who will call out homosexuality. So, on its own, may not seem like a very big thing. In the Cook Islands at the moment, we have a very small group of people who want to repeal the homosexual law reform. So very small things, but because of this global sense that you can actually call these things out now, the celebrities can, some of the people who operate in our institutions can. So I think what I'm interested in thinking about, how do we counteract a right-wing process of emboldenment with a more nuanced and radical one. That's not a good word, isn't it? Emboldenment. So if anybody can come up with another one, that would be great.
Not just can, but it's your spiritual duty to do so.
That's right. So it comes in all sorts of ways, not just the freedom to be able to speak of it, but you're emboldened to do it because you can reinterpret your spiritual location with a rational argument, right, to make your position credible, and therefore to allow it to flourish.